Assaulted by my tattooist. Location: Los Angeles, California. Hi everyone. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. A 40-year-old female started my back tattoo journey 1 to 2 years ago. I'd already had several tattoos and piercings by then, having been tattooed since 18, and I felt confident in how to choose the artists I want to work with. I found an artist through IG, and at the time, he was working with a reputable shop that had been open for years. Everyone seemed cool when I came by to visit, and I was on board with what we discussed, so I went ahead post-consultation. Altogether, I probably had 4 sessions with him over 30 to 36 hours. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure since I've blocked some of this out of my memory. He tattooed me in a room where we were alone, where my ADA service dog could be with me. As the sessions went on, he had me undress more and more, which seemed normal to me given the progression of the tattoo. During my last session with him, he had me fully nude. I didn't think about it too much, namely because I trusted his professionalism. Upon wrapping up the last lines and wiping me down, he proceeded to assault me while I was still nude and in prone position. I didn't know what to do, but I fawned and complied. I should mention that previous to this, I had already been a survivor of sexual assault, for which I continue to see a therapist and other mental health providers. Despite this, I thought we could work through it all and finish the tattoo and forget about whatever explicit things happen. What was I going to do? He had already marked me for life, and I'd hoped to make the best out of the situation. He stopped responding to my requests for next sessions, then freaked out when I showed up to the shop, telling me he was going to call the police if I showed up again. I was mortified and humiliated to a degree I can't even comprehend. The shop owner apologized and asked if there was anything that could be done, but the last thing I wanted was to see him ever again or even breathe the same air. Since then, I found another artist at a different shop who's been wonderful, supportive, and healing throughout this entire process. She has helped to transform a truly disastrous and traumatic experience to something worth being proud of. As she's worked on my body, she was shocked at how heavy-handed he was and how he blew out all of his lines, despite the work she saw on his socials. I did not report him to any authority. If you're a survivor of sexual assault or understand the humiliation and shame involved, you might understand why. When I look back, I played it off like it was consensual, probably to protect myself and dissociate from what really happened. It's only been through trauma therapy that I finally admitted this to my therapist, myself, and a few of my close friends. It came with a whole mental breakdown. My current artist is still completing the back piece. When I checked recently on the shop's socials and website, he is no longer there. I haven't stepped foot in the shop since the last time I was there and was told the cops would be called on me. I don't know what to do, but I desire some kind of justice. Honestly, I don't even know what that looks like. I don't even know what my options are or where to start. As an aside, I am also a survivor of stalking, so I have experience filing police reports and working with detectives. I am open to any advice and honestly, any words of comfort. Please be kind as this is already difficult to admit even from an anonymous account. I am also late diagnosed ADHD and on the autism spectrum and have, at times, unwittingly found myself in questionable situations due to inadequate social awareness, including this one. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate any helpful support. My sister's wallet disappeared for 6 years, then reappeared in the exact place she had already searched. I've always been skeptical of paranormal stories, but something happened to my sister that I genuinely can't explain. About 6 years ago, she lost her wallet. It contained all of her ID cards, bank cards, and around $130 in cash. She clearly remembers putting it in the drawer next to her bed. She and her husband searched the entire house multiple times. They emptied drawers, checked every room, and even started doubting whether she had actually left it there. Her husband searched the car and every other place they could think of. Nothing. After about a week, they accepted that it was gone. They canceled all of the bank cards, replaced every important document, and eventually forgot about it. Then, just 2 days ago, 6 years later, they came home and found the wallet in that same bedside drawer. Everything was still inside. Every card, the cash, nothing was missing. What makes it even stranger is that during those 6 years, my country completely redesigned its paper currency. The bills inside the wallet were the old version and are no longer in circulation, making it obvious they had been sitting there untouched all this time. I know people will suggest that they simply overlooked it, but they insist they searched that drawer repeatedly, especially during the first week when they were desperate to find it. Something similar has happened to me several times, although never for years. I'll lose an object, search everywhere, fail to find it, and then hours, a day, or at most a couple of days later, it suddenly appears in a place I've already checked. Has anyone else experienced something like this? Is there any explanation besides simple forgetfulness? I've never cheated, but I'm scared I'm heading down that path. I'm a 24-year-old male, and I've only ever been with one woman. We were high school sweethearts, spent 8 years together, and eventually got married. For most of my life, I never questioned it. She was all I knew, and I was happy. Lately, though, something has changed. I've been getting attention from other women, and instead of ignoring it, I've found myself enjoying it. I catch myself wondering what it would be like to flirt, date, sleep with someone else, and experience things I've never had the chance to. The excitement of the unknown has become really tempting. It doesn't help that almost everyone around me keeps telling me I got married too young. I've heard things like, "You'll regret never experiencing other women," and "You should have had your fun first." At first I dismissed it, but hearing it over and over has made me question everything. The scary part is that I don't think these thoughts are going away. Every new message or bit of attention feeds that curiosity even more. I haven't crossed any physical lines, but I feel like I'm standing at the edge of one. I don't want to become someone who cheats, but I also can't ignore how strong this curiosity has become. Part of me wants to experience what I've missed, while another part of me feels guilty for even thinking that way. I'm posting here because I'm wondering if anyone else started with thoughts like these before things escalated. What happened? When will I get my money? Sue. I've been working on a call center for a specific type of company that offers training for certifications for construction jobs. We offer different discounts all year long, so every time we speak with a new customer we have a script where we disclose the last promotions available. Easy, simple. A couple of days ago I answered a call. This guy was interested in knowing more about one of the certifications. I started explaining him about the specifications of the program and price and discount available. Customer: "But that is expensive for someone like me that already knows all the content and doesn't need classes. I'm ready to take the test and get the certificate as soon as possible. My boss is waiting on that, and I want my raise." Agent: "Me. Definitely. You can also take a brief evaluation on our website, and it will direct you to take the test only if you pass." Customer: Yeah, already took it. But my question here is, when do I get my refund?" Agent: "I'm sorry. Did you already pay for a full course and you wanting to do only the test?" Customer: No. I haven't paid anything. You just mentioned there is a promotion from the original price of the program. If I'm already prepared, I should get the discount, right?" Agent: "You get a discount if you want to do the whole program with testing. In your case, that is testing only, you'll pay dollar amount." Customer: Okay. I know is less for just doing the test, but what about the discount? Where that money goes? I should receive that money, right? Because I don't need classes. I'm already prepared, so I get the discount. At this moment I realize that he believes that a discount means you get some amount of money back. Well, sadly, he is not the first customer I have helped and has the same idea about a discount or promotion. At this moment I double-check that he was not enrolled in one of the certifications, and maybe he was really asking for a refund because he was going to be doing only the test. He wasn't. Agent: "The discount is only available for full program purchase." Customer: "I don't think you understand. I need that money and I need the certification by tomorrow. I'll call you back." And hung up. I thought the guy at Walmart was just awkward. I was wrong. Sorry for the long post, guys. Any help or practical advice would be appreciated. I debated posting this because I know exactly how it sounds. If I were reading this from someone else, I'd probably assume they were connecting dots that weren't really there. Maybe I still am. But after everything that's happened over the last 3 weeks, I honestly don't know. I'm a mom with 2 young kids. We live in a quiet town where you recognize people at the grocery store. I don't have enemies that I know of. My life is work, my kids 4 and 5, and home. 2 Saturdays ago I stopped at Walmart around 7:30 p.m. I need to get some more school supplies for the kids. We were in the toy aisle because, of course, you can't go to Walmart with 2 kids and not get them a toy. That's where it started. A guy walked into the aisle. Late 30s maybe. Baseball cap. Gray hoodie, even though it was as hot as the devil's balls outside. Louisiana weather. He smiled. Then he said, "Those 2 keep you busy, huh?" People say things like that all the time. I smiled back and laughed. Every day. Then he asked, "You usually come here around this time?" I said, "Not normally." Which is true because kids' bedtime normally is 8:30 p.m. He didn't answer. He just looked at my kids for a second longer. I grabbed the cart and kept walking. I figured that was the end of it. A few minutes later we were in the cereal aisle. There he was again. Coincidence, I thought. I casually waved and shrugged. Then frozen foods. Again. School supply section. Again. Every time I'd look up, he'd already be looking at me. Not smiling anymore. Just watching. When I got to self-checkout, he was standing near the exit pretending to look at the shelf full of candies that was near the checkouts. He never bought anything. As I loaded my things and kids into my car, I noticed a white sedan parked 2 rows over. The same man was sitting inside, engine running, watching. I left. He didn't. I convinced myself I was overreacting. Until 4 days later. I was leaving work when I found a folded receipt tucked under my windshield wiper. I live about 30 minutes from my office. My office is part of an office complex with no obvious signage of the company logo or that I work there. How would anyone know? It was from that same Walmart. Same date. Same evening. Someone had circled the time with a black pen. 7:34 p.m. No note. Nothing else. Just the receipt. I honestly didn't make the connection right away. It wasn't until I talked to my mom, I tell her everything, that I mentioned the weird coincidences that she asked wasn't that the same day that guy weirded you out? That is when it hit me. She suggested I make a police report, but I just hoped it would go away. A week later, I was back at Walmart. I went during my lunch break to grab a few things for my office that I needed replenished. I was in a loaner vehicle from the dealership at this time because my Toyota was being serviced. The moment I walked inside, I saw him. He was already looking at me. He smiled. I almost didn't recognize your car. I felt sick. I had never told him what I drove, but I assume he saw what I drove from the first night. I didn't even respond. I walked straight to customer service. An employee asked if everything was okay. I pointed toward the entrance. That man keeps following me. By the time she looked, he wasn't there. The employee offered to have security walk me out. I agreed, but proceeded to tell her all of the prior events. I asked if they could review camera footage from several nights ago. She got her manager, who agreed. After looking at the footage, he agreed he'd been following me through several departments. But because he never threatened me or touched me, there wasn't much they could do. They gave me an incident number and encouraged me to call the police if it happened again. So, I did anyway since my mom already suggested it. The responding officer was kind. He listened, took pictures of the receipt that I kept, documented everything. He explained that, at that point, there wasn't enough to charge anyone with a crime, but he filed an informational report in case the behavior continued. He did ask about exes, enemies, coworkers, estranged family members, etc. I remember him saying something that's been replaying in my head ever since. Most of these situations end up being misunderstandings or go away once law enforcement gets involved. I wanted him to be right. Then a couple days later, my daughter and son and I were outside feeding and refilling our chickens' water near the front porch when she looked toward my neighbor's driveway. She asked, "Mom, who's that?" They are parked weird. About 20 yards away, parked on the neighbor's driveway, almost sticking out in the street, was the same white sedan. It wasn't moving. The driver wasn't looking at the road or down the driveway. He was looking at our house. From the position of my house compared to where he was sitting, it was very obvious. Before people say, "How could I know?" As soon as I picked up my phone, the car drove away. I called the number of the back of my case number card. The same deputy came back out. He couldn't do much because the car was gone before he arrived, but he added the incident to the existing file. Before leaving, he asked if we had cameras. I told him we had a doorbell camera and one covering the driveway. He suggested adding one facing the side driveway near the street. I got one on Amazon, and 2 days later after they came in, I installed them, which was yesterday. Last night, at 2:17 a.m., a person walked up and stood on the other side of the street just watching. They never stepped onto my property. They stood perfectly still for almost 4 minutes. The camera couldn't make out a face, just a person. Because I live somewhat in a woody part of the community, there are no street lights. The guy just walked away after. This morning, I walked to where he was standing. There, lying exactly where he'd been standing, was a Walmart receipt under a rock, printed less than 3 hours before the camera caught them. One item had been purchased, a package of children's sidewalk chalk. I don't have the receipt anymore since I was advised not to touch anything if anything like this happened again. So, I called the same detective. He came, asked questions, made notes, and asked to keep it. He also said he was going to be going review the footage from Walmart to help identify him, and also with the information from the transactions, he should be able to identify him to at least try to talk to him for possible motives. He also asked me not to post anything or the footage while they're looking into it. He only said one thing before he left. "This isn't the first report we've gotten involving your situation." Then he left. I was upset he would leave me after that since I'm already creeped out. About an hour ago, someone knocked once on my front door. I checked the live camera because I was laying down in my bed with the kids while they were watching their iPads. No one was there. But there was a new piece of sidewalk chalk sitting perfectly centered on my welcome mat. I haven't opened the door but called the detective again, who is currently on his way. He'll update when I can. Also, I have posted the first receipt that I found at my office on my original post. This subreddit doesn't allow photos. Detective took pictures of it, but said since I had grabbed it, it wasn't necessary for him to keep. I'm guessing because of fingerprints. He took the other one. I also posted the figure in hopes anyone recognizes him in the Port Allen, Brusley, Addis, or Plaquemine area in Louisiana. Any advice or help in identifying him would be greatly appreciated.